Welcome to the State of the Buccaneers podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Pfefferkorn, and welcome to the biggest and only fan-run podcast of the East Tennessee State Buccaneers. We'll get right back to you after the tune. Welcome back to the State of the Buccaneers podcast. We have a very special episode for you here today. It is my proud honor to welcome Brooks Savage to the podcast. So without further ado, take it away. Introduce yourself. I think it goes without saying.
No, Jacob, I appreciate you. Yeah, I appreciate you having me on, and it's an exciting time at ETSU, and I think what you're doing here, I think this is great. I think the fans enjoy it, and you do a great job. So I'm excited to be on with you and talk a little ETSU hoops.
Yep. That's basically what this whole podcast is about. Uniting the fans, uniting the coaches, uniting the players. First thing I wanted to get into today is sort of your story, because I started out this podcast by telling everybody my story about my connection to ETSU. So I was going to ask you what brought you to ETSU the first time, and what brought you to ETSU now. Like, what brings you back?
Yeah, no, we're thrilled to be back. Me and my family, we love living here, and so it's a great place to live and raise a family and coach. And originally, I was at that school to the south that we don't much like to talk about. Was down there for 2 years, and then Coach Forbes got the ETSU job from Wichita State, and we had worked together previously when I was a GA and a manager at Tennessee, and then again in junior college at Northwest Florida. And so when he got the job at ETSU, he asked me to come with him, and I didn't hesitate to say yes, and was him and Coach Shea and Brian Collins Penny, that's the head coach at Tennessee State now. And so we had a great staff, and we had a great run the last time, and we were able to build something really special, culminating with the 30-4 team. And unfortunately that got cut a little short with COVID and the tournament and the whole thing everybody knows. But we went to Wake Forest, and we had a tall task to get that program back to where it had been in the past. And it was an interesting time. We got there late in May and COVID, and trying to get the roster figured out at that point in the late in the recruiting cycle, put together a decent team, and then we had our ups and downs with COVID and guys being in and out, got shut down, but the next year we were able to win 25 games and go to the NIT, and then last year we had a nice year. We won 19 games, and you're kind of caught up in your own season, and we were trying to make a late push, for the NCAA tournament, trying to play our way in, and so you don't really know a whole lot about what's going on in the country outside. You're kind of just really focused on your team, and ETSU decided they were going to make a change, and got a call on a Sunday, I think it was, asking if I'd be interested, and of course I was, and it was a Zoom like on Monday with the committee, and then Tuesday and Wednesday were some phone calls, and Thursday a Zoom with Dr. Nolan, and that went, I guess obviously it went pretty well. But you think that you might get a call Thursday night and phone doesn't ring, so now I'm on pins and needles. I'm like, is this, what's going to happen? And then Dr. Sander called me Friday morning and offered me the job, and again, didn't hesitate. And this is a great place. We're so excited to be back. We have a really talented team. We've got work to do to get back to where we want to get, which is playing on Monday night and back at the top of the SoCon and going to the NCAA tournament. But, it's been done many times here before. And we have a great staff, a couple guys in particular that were here and know what it takes to win at this level, and guys that were other places that know what it takes to win at this level. And so just really excited about the future, excited to get started. And, there's no place I'd rather be. This is a fantastic place. You have everything you need here to win big: fan support, facilities, resources, the whole thing. And, most importantly, we got good players and a great staff. And so, we're ready to get rolling here.
Yeah, you basically covered a lot of stuff I was going to talk about. We'll get into a little bit more, but uh, like uh, just like the whole, it's been a crazy time since COVID. Like going from that, that's sort of the end point of everything. When ETSU won the SoCon, like my life changed that day too. Like I was on such a cloud nine that day. I bought my new car that day and went to the SoCon and watched that happen, and then it was craziness from there, and just sort of it's coming. I'm glad ETSU basketball is coming back. Like I firmly believe in what your product. We'll sort of get into that later, but um, just like uh, I'm excited, man, and uh, I'm glad to have you back.
Well, thank you, buddy. Yeah, like I said, we're excited to be here. We got a lot of work to do, but
Yeah,
we're working towards the goal. And I think the expectation here is something that was super exciting for me, and I know our players and staff of just the expectations are high, but that's where you want to be. I've been places
yeah,
where they're not, and that's where you want to be. And there's expectations, and we're not running from them. And we got a job to do, and so we're going to try and run it down every day.
yeah. Because I can say this as myself. ETSU expects a lot as a mid-major school. Like some jobs you walk into, there's not high expectations at all. Here we care about our basketball. Like if a coach don't care, we're gonna figure it out real quick.
Right.
There's some people on Twitter that are crazy. There's craziness everywhere, but you know they get really vocal. And I just kind of wanted to transition the next, like sort of the next thing. You kind of got into it, but what got you into coaching, and uh, just like how's it feel being a head coach? Like
Yeah, this has been a
was
a lifelong dream of mine. I remember, since I was probably 10 years old, I've just always loved college basketball. I was the kid at school that, um, filled out 10 brackets, and I love March Madness. And going to college basketball games was watching BJ Mackey at South Carolina,
yeah,
and I love Nolan Richardson's teams at Arkansas, and Rick Pitino's style of play at Kentucky, and back home at my parents' house in my room there, I guess there's still a Kansas poster on the wall with Kirk Heinrich and Nick Collison, and
yeah,
my whole room is just college basketball. So this is always something that I wanted to do, and I was a fine high school player and maybe could have played some small
yeah,
college somewhere, but I wanted to go to Tennessee, and I wanted to coach and learn how to coach. And Coach Buzz Peterson was the head coach there. And I thought what a great opportunity that would be to learn from him, and, maybe try to get into that North Carolina kind of coaching tree, and, build your network and that sort of thing. And so I did the manager thing for a year with him. And then, he was let go at the end of that year,
hmm
and Coach Pearl came in and was with him for 5 years, and we had a ton of success and learned a lot. Um, but it was it was a long road. I think the one thing that's helped me prepare for this is that I was a GA, a manager, a GA, a video guy, a Dobo, assistant coach in JUCO, low major, mid major, high major. So, in terms of what a successful basketball program is supposed to look like and how it's supposed to run day to day, and all that stuff, I think I've got a pretty good 360-degree view of what that should look like. And I've had some great teachers along the way. Obviously Coach Forbes was with him a long time, and learned a lot, and had a lot of success. And so, it's like I said, it's just been a lifelong dream, and to have that opportunity, now is I'm incredibly lucky and blessed, and very fortunate. Obviously grateful to Dr. Sander, Dr. Nolan, and you always dream about being at a place, where do I want to be a head coach, and it's like somewhere with great resources and facilities and fan support and tradition, and somewhere where you can really win big. And did I grow up when I was 10 wanting to be the head coach at ETSU? Not necessarily, but this place checks all those boxes. And so when you envision that place, ETSU is that place. And for me, this is, like I said, a dream job destination for me, and a great place. A great place to be the head coach, a great place to live, and so it's we're excited to be here, and we love living here, and we're just excited of what's to come, and the work that's ahead of us to try and build this thing back, and get it back where we had it and where it's been many times before in history.
I know I relate to everything you said, because one of my dreams has just been to be involved in sports some way. Like you said, you grew up watching teams. I grew up watching ETSU. I grew up watching ETSU and Purdue. Those are my two college teams. I watched Courtney Pegram, Mike Smith, Kevin Tiggs, that team. I just fell in love with it, as like a
Yeah.
9-year-old kid, 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid. And this is one of my dreams I'm living out right now, getting into podcasting. It's sort of how I kind of related. I put that on my notes, like you getting into head coaching, getting into coaching, sort of like me starting this podcast. It's
Right.
pursuing
Yeah.
our dreams.
Yeah.
And
I think
I,
there's
I,
something. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say I'm appreciative that you would come on this podcast.
Yeah. I think it's,
Yeah.
I think you just got to get started somehow. For me, it was
Mm.
being a manager, and,
Yeah.
10 years from now, you stay in the podcast game. Who knows what that looks like,
Yeah.
hopefully you have a lot better setup, but,
Yeah.
I'm
You
just
upgrade
teasing.
technology and everything.
No, but
Maybe I'll
what's
be.
what's funny is when I was in high school, we played in the Arby's Classic. I was at
Mhm.
Irmo High School, and my
Yeah.
high school coach was here today at practice, Tim Whipple, and we've been in the Arby's numerous times. But we
Mhm.
went my senior year, and we played at Viking Hall, and it sold out.
Yeah.
And so that was, I'd grown up watching SoCon games. Whether it was I had a mentor of mine played at Furman, but
Mhm.
just going to, Southern Conference basketball. It was nearby, where I'm from in Columbia, and we played in the Arby's, and so to get a taste of how much East Tennessee loves basketball, as a senior in high school, it's like it's a little bit of a God wink, maybe of what's down the road. But it was, this part of the country loves hoops, and Johnson City and the Tri Cities, they love
Yeah.
ETSU, and so it's pretty fun.
You know, I have some weird connections, but did you say you were from Columbia, South Carolina?
That's right.
I used to live in South Carolina.
Oh yeah, where at?
Yeah. Uh, on the other side of the river, right near North Augusta, like Clarksville area.
Yeah,
When I
yeah.
was when I was little, before we moved here, I used to live there. So I remember I used to go to the Columbia Zoo a lot when I was a little kid.
There you go.
Yeah, yeah. But like you said, this area loves hoops, and it's ironic because most of my family's from Indiana, so hoops runs through our veins up there. And uh, what are the odds I'm in an area where that loves hoops too? Has a fan base like ETSU just in my
Yeah.
backyard. You
And
know,
we got three guys from the state of Indiana, so I know
I
that.
know. I saw all that. I was like, yeah, they're getting some good ones there.
Right.
We'll sort of get into that later, but I just wanted to transition quickly. But I was gonna say, just like talking about player, like your values as a coach, and sort of what you value in your players. Like, what are you looking for in your players, and what do you value, see as your values?
Yeah, I think the first thing is we want to recruit guys. Obviously, you have to have enough talent. That goes without being said. But we want guys that are high character. I think that to have a successful team, you got to have guys that that want to be great teammates, that care about winning, that are competitive, and then that have like that internal motivation to be great. Um, that have real confidence. Um, and guys, like I said, that love to play. And that's kind of what we look for. And guys that come from winning programs, um, and guys that are hungry, guys that are hungry. Our staff, Coach Hughley played in junior college. Coach Tisdale played in junior college. Me and Coach Arkenberg coached in junior college. Coach Jones has coached a million places. So we kind of came up the hard way a little bit, I guess you'd say. We had to take a little bit of a different path to get to where we want to go. So we like those kind of guys that maybe had to do the same. And so there's just a different level of hunger and that comes with that sometimes. And so, that's kind of what we look for in the players,
Mhm.
in recruiting. But then, as you start to build your team and you try to put that puzzle together, once we get them, it's just about being the hardest playing, best conditioned, most connected, toughest team night in, night out. And that's kind of what we're working towards. The X's and O's are important, but they'll change. But but if you have guys and you have a team that play to that identity, I think you have a chance to win a lot and have a special group. And I think we're starting. I think we have that. I think we're starting to build that. I think you ask the players. I'd say these last couple of weeks have been the hardest since we've been here. We've been getting ready to play, and
Mhm.
so we've been on them about the standard and the expectation of how we're going to come to practice every day, how we're going to play, and playing hard is non-negotiable,
Mhm.
and trying to get them to understand. I think sometimes guys think they're playing hard, they can play harder, and so we're trying to get them. We've been pushing them to try to go to that uncomfortable place. Um, so then on game night, it's they don't have to kick it into a different gear. They've been
Mhm.
practicing in that gear, and so
Mhm.
that's trying to get them to be connected and encourage each other. And when you get tired, lifting somebody else up. We have a great coach, strength coach, in Josh Spainhour. We're trying to be in the best shape we can be, and I think that just as the head coach, just trying to pace them throughout the year, I think is probably my number one job. And so, are we in tip top shape right now? No, but I don't think we need to be either. That's a process, and so we'll get there before we go for real here in about a month. But we're playing. We have open a closed scrimmage on Friday, and so it'll be good to play somebody else and
Mhm.
really see where we're at.
Yeah, I was just everything you said. Like that's what I've gotten a sense of. Just people that don't get. Players that don't give up. You know, because when you're at JUCO, you're there for the love of the game. Like I've watched oh, is it Last Chance U, the JUCO basketball version. Like those players are there for just purely, they're there to prove to themselves that they can play, even if other people aren't, believe in them necessarily. And
Yeah,
I think I can relate to that a lot. Even though I'm not an athlete, like you have to grind to get through school. Going through COVID, that whole process was insane for me. But like, uh, I just think that's uh, something that makes the team better. Players that want to lift each other up and you know work hard. Not just give up because they know they're better than everyone else and they could care less.
yeah, we're just trying to work really hard to establish the standard of our program,
Yeah.
right? And what's how you come in the gym every day, getting extra work, how hard you're going to
Hmm.
lift, being in great shape, being a great teammate. And so we're trying to establish how we're going to do things and the level, of excellence that we expect and the standard, and then hold them to that. And it's hard. It's hard some days, because it's a grind. We got 8 weeks in the summer, and then September and October. We're 6 or so weeks into our preseason here, and so we push them. We push them, and so but they've been great. They've responded great. They're super coachable.
Mhm.
There's not been any resistance to what we're trying to do, and but it's been, it is. I think in year one, I think that's a big part of what you're trying to establish how you want to play and the
Yeah.
fundamentals and the scheme and all that stuff. But it's also about the level of energy and hard work that you bring every day
Mhm.
to the practice floor and building that team and really using this time to, as we call it, just build your armor. And so
Yeah.
that's what we're trying to do.
I I know it just interests me how different coaching styles work, but uh that first year, that's where you establish how you're going to be as a coach, what values you're going to uphold, how you're going to push certain players, and you know how you evaluate,
Hmm.
I know I've been reading a book by Mike Leach. He sort of talks about all that, getting players to class, making sure they're coming to practice, not skipping study halls. You know, different players have different values. Some people are more meek, and then some more respond well to criticism. And I think that's all interesting. Just sort of the uh, philosophy of management, because I was a business management major, so that kind of
Yeah. Now,
interests me. Yeah.
is that swing your sword? Is that the
Yes, yeah,
swing
swing your
your
sword.
sword?
I love it. I've been reading it. I love it so far.
Yeah.
Haven't
Yeah.
finished it yet, but
Coach Leach was a good one, man.
I,
He had a different way
I,
of doing things, but he was good. He was
yeah,
innovative.
yes. Just like, and I'm sort of a history buff too, so I just connect with it. But
I
uh,
think Coach Leach
yeah,
would have been a Bucks fan. The whole
yeah, yeah.
pirate thing.
He,
I think he liked the Bucks.
it's all related. It all comes back around since we're the Buccaneers.
That's right.
But um, we sort of covered what my next question was, which was sort of the team play style. What what's your I or ideal play style for the team, like as we go through
Yeah,
the year?
yeah. I think we want to play a exciting brand of basketball. We want to play as fast as our defense and rebounding will allow. We want to be aggressive, put pressure on the rim offensively. Um, share the ball on offense, value the ball, take care of it. But the biggest thing, just playing hard, playing together.
Mhm.
I guess fans will see a lot of spacing and movement. It's mainly pick and roll oriented.
Mhm.
But we'll do some stuff that resembles motion and some screening. There'll be a mix of both, and we want to. There's a difference between running hard and playing fast.
Yeah, yeah.
Everybody says they want to play fast, and we'll try to be up tempo. We led the league in tempo at Wake Forest the last 2 years, and so that's how we like to play. Um, but we're going to run hard in transition and try to play early offense if we can, and then we're going to run hard back on defense and try to play 5-on-5 and set our defense, and then just be really hard nosed and gritty on the defensive end and try to offensive and defensive rebound the basketball and then just really put a premium on executing the fundamentals, being in the right position defensively, pick and roll coverage, playing on balance offensively, getting catches, grabbing the ball with two hands, things of that nature. um, that really go into winning and losing. And it really just all comes back down to your training. When the bullets are flying, it comes back to your habits. And so just building good habits fundamentally and working on those every day and trying to play to that as much as possible.
Mhm. Yeah, I just thought of something while you were talking about that up tempo style. Like we're gonna need that, when we're playing teams like Furman in conference, because Furman last year they just shot the lights out. Look at what they did to Virginia. They came back in 5 seconds. They were
Yeah.
down for a little bit, and you know to compete in the SoCon, you need that. It's always been like that. With
Yeah.
how tough. I
Go ahead.
I was I was gonna say the SoCon. is really a guard heavy conference. So you need that toughness, you know.
For sure. For sure. I think you got to be able to win the league. If you look at the numbers,
Hmm.
you can be you got to be a good offensive team, but you don't have
Yeah.
to be the best offensive team. But you do have to be one or two in defense. And so,
Yeah.
we've always tried to hang our hat on that end of the floor. And so that's that we spent a ton of time on the defensive end of the floor. We didn't really do much at all in the summer, but since we've come back in the fall, it's been mostly all defense and trying to build that toughness and
Hmm.
being connected defensively. And that takes time, but that we're always going to hang our hat on that end of the floor because ultimately your season comes down to being able to get one stop. And I don't know when
Yes.
that's going to
Yeah.
be, but I don't know if that's the last play of the game or with 4 minutes to go in the game, but you got to get one stop ultimately. So you got to be
Yeah.
able to sit down and guard in the half court.
I was thinking about that. Like me as me just playing pickup basketball, I focus on defense because uh, I'm not the bit greatest athlete, you know. So I always focused on defense and rebounding. But like that grind, like at the end of games when the shots aren't falling, like you've got to get the stops, you know. Like you just got to push through, and there's usually 3 or 4 moments in a game that, especially close games, that you have to know your defense, know all the players around you, be aware of your surroundings, you know,
Yeah.
in the
Part of
situation. Yeah.
part of what goes into tempo, I think people, the casual fan, when we tried to play up tempo the last time we were here,
Yeah.
and but I think people might be surprised. We were the slowest playing team in the league the last year, the 30-win team in tempo. But I think
Hmm.
part of that too is it's not just offense. It's not how
Yeah.
fast you shoot it. It's the defensive end and making people, um, not giving up quick scores on defense. And so when you guard and you make it hard for people to score and you're good defensively, they're going to have longer possessions, which
Hmm.
ultimately slows the tempo of the game down. So that's why we try to put more of a premium on running hard. And,
Hmm.
so that's something that we're definitely going to try and do when we get that rebound. We're going. We should be, hauling tail to the other end and putting pressure on the defense to get back. But we'll. I think you can create some fast break opportunities off your defense getting turnovers, but you can
Hmm.
also, we don't outlet the ball. So whoever rebounds it brings it, and we try to bust out.
Hmm.
And so if we're, the more we're able to be good defensively and have the offense shooting what we call body between shots, like we don't want to give up the backboard. We don't want people taking open shots. We want to get to a contest every time and have a body between shots, especially around the basket, making them score through a body. And when you do that, you can get clean rebounds, then you can get in transition, which is where we want to get into the open floor and play early offense. But I
Yeah.
don't know necessarily how fast tempo numbers wise we'll play, but we're going to run hard.
Yeah. I was gonna ask, like, sort of made me think like that. Yeah, that team controlled that 2020 team. They just controlled the tempo, you know, with
Hmm.
Tisdale and Bo Hodges and Trey Boyd and everyone else, you know, Davian Williamson, who you've coached at ETSU and Wake. You know,
Right.
they just played ball control. They weren't jacking shots up just to jack up shots, and that was kind of issue with ETSU the last couple years is they just didn't know tempo. You know
Well, I
what
think when you're
tempo
a
they were
really
playing
good
in.
team,
Yeah.
you can win games that are grind them out games, and you can win games that are
Hmm.
really up tempo and high
Yeah.
score.
Yeah.
We beat Wofford that year. It was in the 50s,
Yeah.
and we won games in the 80s. So you got to be able to the championship quality teams. They're able to win multiple ways, and they're able to win on nights when they don't play well or when the ball's not going in the basket for them. So that's why we always got to,
Hmm.
regardless of what happens on that end, we got to come down on the other end and sit down and guard and be connected and be physical
Hmm.
and get stops. And that's one thing I do like about our team is that they've had good response, they've had good resolve, and we are a physically strong team. 1 through 5, those guys are strong. We got great size, especially 1, 2, and 3. They've got big wings that are strong and physical and able to keep the ball in front and put their chest on people.
Mhm.
And so, that's I like the physicality of our group so far.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just watching the team at the scrimmage this weekend, it's you're you're a physical team. Like defense and rebounding, that's not going to be the issue with the team. I think everyone's just physical. Like it's gonna be perfect for the grind out style. And uh,
Yeah,
yeah,
Saturday was just okay.
yeah,
Saturday was just okay. So
yeah,
we got to continue to get better. And the crowd was great, though, man. What an
yeah,
awesome crowd! I think we had a couple 200-300 people in there, and former
mhm,
players were back, and we had a tailgate for them, and I know our players and our staff. We were certainly appreciative of everybody that popped their head in there
mhm,
and came by and got a little glimpse of our guys, and
mhm,
we just got to keep getting better and move forward. We're going, like I said, scrimmage this week on Friday, and then we'll have a couple weeks there before we play our exhibition, and that'll give us time to diagnose the
mhm,
problems and get them
mhm.
fixed.
Yeah. I just saw the potential. That's mostly what I was talking about. Just like the potential of every single player on the team to you know I they seem I heard that I didn't go to the scrimmage last year like that, but they said that we are further along than that team was last year. And I see the potential there. They may not gel at first, but as the season goes along, they're gonna really click, I think. And uh, that sort of leads into my next question. Just who do you think are going to be the team leaders this year? Like, who's going to be in those clutch moments when the team needs them? Who's going to be the go-to guy, or is there a go-to guy yet?
I think it'll be largely a collective effort. I think we have
Mm-hmm.
we have good players all the way down the roster. Those guys are capable. They're good players. Relatively older group, but some of the young guys have had some bright spots as well. And so, um, Jaden Seymour's been really good since day one. Had a great spring, great summer. He's up 15 pounds. Really shooting the ball well. He's been um, really, really good. And I think he's going to have a great year. He fits what we want to do really well. He's versatile. Ebi Asamoah is an older guy that can make shots and knows what it takes. And so those two guys, I think, just internally, I think, have some leadership ability and have shown that. Um, but they're older guys, so
Mm-hmm.
they're the most experienced. So
Yeah,
they should be um, vocal and setting the example for the rest of the guys, and they know what we're trying to do, and so those two guys probably the most in terms of just that internal leadership. But we have a good group. I think they get along well. The chemistry's been good. I think they all value playing the right way in terms of sharing the ball and those sorts of things. And so it's just a matter of seeing where we're at this Friday, and that also guys' roles evolve over the course of the season too, and so it'll be interesting to see how some of the other guys come along and how the roles start to define themselves both naturally and from the staff.
uh, yeah. I think you covered. From what I saw, the team is just equally spread out. You could get every night. There's going to be a different contributor. Who's going
Those
to
have
step
always
up.
been our
Yeah,
best teams.
yeah.
Yeah, those have always been our best teams. That last year we had 8 different leading scorers, and so when you have
Mhm.
multiple guys that can be the leading scorer, that can have a good game. It makes you that much more dangerous. There's not one guy that they're trying to
Mhm.
stop all the time, and it makes you. It's better for your team, and I think then the character of our players, um, they enjoy the success of one another. And when you have a group like that, that really enjoys seeing each other succeed, then that leads to good chemistry on the floor, guys that care about winning, and put winning above all else. That leads to good chemistry and trust amongst one another, and then you can start to develop something really good. But that's where it's got to start.
Yeah, that I totally agree. Uh, just and the players you mentioned, Jaden Seymour, Ebby, and those were some of the players I was going to mention. I've followed Jaden's physical transformation sort of on social media, on Twitter. Seeing that excites me as a fan. Just like seeing that a player's putting that much work in the off season to grow, and I think he could be all SoCon this year. Call me.
Yeah.
I really think he could.
Yeah, I think he could too. I think that's
Uh,
probably his expectation for himself. But those things we've talked about as a team about how to define
yeah.
success. And those are
If
those types of accolades aren't up to us. That's for other people to vote
that's
on. And so, we've just focused on trying to be the best team that we can possibly be, and play to the standard, and play to our identity. Um, and that's kind of where the focus has been, being
yeah.
process oriented, on a day-to-day basis, but with the big picture and the end goal in mind of what we're working towards. And they've done a really good job of that. And Jaden Parker's been another one that's been really
Oh,
good. He's got great feel. He's up 10, 15 pounds, and he's in great shape. And he's a little thinner, but this isn't going to be the first time somebody's tried to push him around. Like, he handles the physicality really well, and he's really mobile and can do a lot of different things. He's got great ball skills, and so he's been really good. Great attitude, day to day basis. He's quiet, but he great attitude and good teammate, hard worker.
mhm. I was going to mention him too. There's so many new faces. I can't get him to them all, but when he committed, I was excited because he's a defensive big. I saw sort of his block numbers. That's what really jumped out to me. He's going to on the defensive end. That's what we've missed for a few years now is a defensive big. It's probably been since Jerome Rodriguez uh, that we've had a defensive big like that. And I think I think that's all I had uh, on that aspect. But uh, let me think. Um, I think we covered everything pretty good on physical end. But I was gonna transition to recruiting a little bit because I was just gonna ask what is recruiting looking like for you so far, and kind of what areas are you recruiting the most, and what are you looking for in future recruits?
Yeah, it's a good question. So, on paper, we only have the one scholarship.
Hmm.
Ebby, being the only guy that's definitely out of here, right? And so,
Yeah,
um, we've taken. We're not going to sign anybody early. Um, we haven't played any games. I don't
yeah,
really know. We
you,
got to see how it goes a little bit. We had 10 official visits in the spring, and we got 8 of them, 9 total new scholarship players with David there at the end. And so um, we're kind of in a holding phase, I guess you would
yeah.
say, just in terms of let's go through the season, see what we have, and then we'll reevaluate it in the spring and see who's coming and going. With the portal, you never kind of really know. We would like to keep everybody. I like all these guys, but you know how this goes. So we'll see how the season goes, and see in the spring. Obviously, we're going to need to replace Ebby, probably with definitely a guy that can make shots, on the perimeter, and look, always going to look for complete guards, guys that can make plays off the dribble, and guys that can make plays for others, guys that can make shots. And so that's probably definitely be a need in the spring, and then we'll see from there. But we'd like to keep this group together. I think this group is a championship caliber group. Is it this year? I don't know, but down
Mhm.
down the road, if you can have that retention, and give them time to grow together and play together. We'd like to keep this thing together and maybe add one. Definitely add one, and see what next year can bring. But that's where we're at right now, and just kind of see how the season goes and give these guys a chance to show what they can do during the year and see like I said, see how it goes and then in the springtime see where we're at. So we're just kind of wait and see for right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of how it is with a new program. You never know who's going to show up, who's going to decide, not fit in, eventually. But uh, like like you said, the transfer portal, recruiting never stops. And I was sort of that I had a question about just sort of as a coach, how has the transfer portal been? Uh, like, have you
Yeah,
had to make adjustments to it? With all the
yeah. I mean, I love the
process of
transfer
it.
portal. I
Yeah.
think the transfer portal is great. I like the one-time transfer rule. I hope that they
Mhm.
stick to it just being one time. I don't really like the free agency where
Yeah.
guys just free moving every year, but I like the one time. To me, it's just such a short time in their life to play college basketball. It's
Yeah.
such a special time, and I look at it from the standpoint of there's been so many guys that I've been able to coach, but if you look across the country, there's so many success stories.
Mhm.
And so I like the fact that these guys have a chance to find success, whether it's here or somewhere else. And, um, they got a small window. And so, we've had a number of them in the past, whether it be Geelon Gwynn, who left Cincinnati, where he averaged 3 points and came here and got 19, or Lucas Gasson, who is at Oklahoma State not happy and comes here and has an
Yeah.
unbelievable experience. I mean, I think every time that an
Mhm.
ETSU group, I mean, he met us in Amsterdam last year at Wake Forest on our foreign trip, and he met the global sports
Mhm.
leadership group this year overseas, and so it just gives those guys a chance to find success. And so I like the portal. That door swings both ways. I understand that, but that's part of it. And I'm not really one of those types of guys that tries to figure out a way to fix it. They don't ask me that. I just try
Yeah.
to find a way to work within the parameters of
Mhm.
what's going on and
Yeah.
adapt or die. And ETSU is a very transfer friendly place, uh, because of the great academic programs. There's so
Mhm.
many different ones you can choose from, but we accept a lot of credits, and that's an
Yeah.
advantage in the transfer portal. Whereas at like Wake Forest, that's a little bit more of a challenge sometimes. But we had guys there too. Tyree Appleby, Alondis Williams came from previous schools. They were ACC Player of the Year. Jake LaRavia was Indiana State to the 19th pick in the draft at Wake. So it's
Mhm.
been overwhelmingly positive, and we'll always recruit the portal hard. But we got three good freshmen too. Makai Johnson can really
Yeah.
shoot the ball, and Gabe Sisk has really emerged since coming back in the fall, and I think David Merriweather's got a chance to be a really good player. And
Mhm.
so we've had Bo Hodges was all freshman, Mladen Armish was all
Mhm.
freshman, Damian Williamson, Damari Monsanto. So I think sometimes in recruiting we get the reputation that it's just JUCO guys, just transfers, but we've had some pretty good high school players
Mhm.
as well, and it's always going to be a good mix. And I don't care if you're in your first year or your sixth year, if you win the job and you win the minutes, and then you'll play. And
Mhm.
so that's how it's always going to be.
Yeah, I was going to mention, like, ETSU uses the portal the way it's supposed to be used, like players that need an opportunity, It's not like you said, the free agency aspect that's kind of out there, but like ETSU's always found people that need a role, that aren't going to play elsewhere but are talented, and I've just enjoyed that. And you mentioned 4-year players. Yeah, ETSU has some outstanding 4-year players too. AJ Merriweather,
Yeah, Desante Bradford,
Bradford,
Isaac Banks was a good
Bo
player.
Hodges.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Peter Jerkin was here 4 years, was a good player
Mhm.
for us. I mean, there's been a number of guys um, it's not just transfers.
Yeah.
It's you get
Yeah.
them from all over and all from. I think you got to be able to recruit. Five. We call it 5-star recruiting. That's kind of our recruiting
Yeah.
philosophy. It's got to be number one is your own players. You're always wanting to treat them right and help
Mhm.
them get better. So you're hoping to have retention. But then it's high school kids, junior college, 4-year transfers, whether that be grad transfers or just the one-time guys. And then we've
Mhm.
always had some good international players, and mostly that's been from guys that were already in the states. But we always keep our eye on that as well. And so you got to be able to recruit it all. You got to be able to ETSU is a place where you can
Mhm.
recruit nationally. Like I said, we got 3 guys from Indianapolis and Justice Smith from New York.
Yeah.
Um, so we've had guys from all over in the past. It'll be largely uh, regional, but we're going to always
Yeah.
the geographic
Mhm.
destination, location is not going to ever deter us from recruiting a player.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of how ETSU's always been, from
Yeah. Well, it's a
all over the
national. I think
place.
it's a
Yeah.
national
Yeah.
brand. I think people know ETSU.
Mhm.
We've been in the NCAA tournament enough times to where you got to think too, like you know, parents that have kids that are 18, 17, 18 years old right now, like a lot of these dads, like Jaden Parker's dad played at William and Mary. He knew about ETSU. He knew
Yeah.
about
Yeah.
Mr. Jennings and Calvin Talford and Greg. He knew about those guys. And so um, we've been so good so many different times in
Yeah.
history. I think people know East Tennessee State. And so that allows you to uh, to walk into any school or any living room and have some name recognition.
Mhm. Like I was saying, ETSU is like a Murray State or that type of school that
Right.
is always producing basketball talent. Having good teams every few years, uh, and like that carries weight. Having a passionate fan base as a mid major, and I know I've talked to other people and they're like, ask him what makes ETSU stand out in the recruiting field. It's that right there. Uh,
For sure. For
that
sure. I think our
we have.
staff has. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, yeah, just like a passionate fan base and a community that cares about them.
That's right. That's a huge sell. I
Uh,
mean, in my office, there's a wall to wall mural of sold out Freedom Hall. And so,
mhm.
and it's not just one game,
Yeah, it's a
it's,
lot. It's a lot of
it's a
games.
number of times. And so,
Mhm.
um, yeah, it's the fan base. Our staff has, a great network, and they have different networks, which allows you to cover a lot of ground. I think you've seen that geographically in recruiting. Ebby's is from Joe's high school, and Chris, was the lead guy on the 3 Indiana kids, and a kid from Louisville.
Mhm.
That's where he's from, Indianapolis. And
Mhm.
Pun's from Kentucky, and so he was involved with Gabe Sisk and a number of North Carolina kids, which is where I'm from and where I've coached, and so
Mhm.
South Carolina, Tyler Rice, and just um, so I think you see the network showing up in recruiting. But yeah, when they come on their visit, man, like they're blown away with campus and the fan base. We go out to eat, people are coming to the table, like they care here, and they're getting blown up on
Mhm.
Twitter, and it's exciting. It makes this is as big time of mid major basketball as you can get,
Mhm.
and that's where you want to be, and this is an attractive place for recruits.
Yeah, I was just talking the other day. Uh, Someone said Trey Boyd came to ETSU because the fans blew up his Twitter, like, and that that makes me feel warm and fuzzy inside, because I'm pretty sure I was a part of that back in the day, and uh,
Yeah, makes a
just
difference.
yeah, yeah, it really does. I sort of wanted to transition into that sort of ends that conversation, but I just kind of wanted to transition into the schedule this year. Uh, what are some of your games you're most looking forward to, and sort of what went into that, and how difficult was it to put together a first year schedule?
When we got here, we only had 3 games, so we had a lot of work to do. We had to get 10 regular season games, an exhibition, a scrimmage, which is sometimes the hardest thing to get.
Yeah,
But I'm excited about the schedule. I think it's tough. I think it's a tough
it
schedule,
really is.
especially right out of the gate. At Elon, at Butler, Davidson, at home. So it's going to be here fast. Cleveland State won 21 games last
Mhm,
year. App State's a great rivalry. They got a good program, and Tennessee Tech in state game, and Jacksonville
mhm.
State's going to be a tough team. And then we're going out to Utah State, which is a incredibly
Yeah,
storied program, and then we're going to go play East Carolina. So I think, but that's what you want, and we've never shied away from scheduling. And we had Delaware, they had to drop
I know
out.
that.
They dropped out late, which kind of hurt us. That was going to be another real quality home game, but we're always going to continue to try and schedule and challenge our team and prepare them. We'd like to in the future. We'd like to get more regional,
Yeah,
big name teams. We try to schedule regionally as much as we can, just for travel,
mhm.
and also those are teams that our fans are familiar with. But we're able to with the Butler game, we're able to get all those guys home in front of their fans
Mhm.
or in front of their family. East Carolina and Elon gets the Carolina guys. There's league games for them too, but it's just another opportunity.
Mhm.
Um, so that's kind of our philosophy in scheduling. Just try to challenge your team early, get the guys back close to home so their family has a easy opportunity to see them play, and then try to get some quality home games. They're hard to get.
Yeah, it really is.
Um, people in scheduling would say that ETSU can be a little bit difficult to get to, and because there's not really direct flight in here. Um, but it's they also know that it's a tough place to play. That they're not walking into. There's going to be a great environment and a raucous crowd, and so that's not something that they're super eager to sign up for. But Coach Brian Jones works at it every day, and we're going to try and get more home games next year, and we're working on a couple Power Five, Power Six league games that I think people will like, and so we'll see what happens. But it was a long process, and we tried to go as long as we could to find that last game, and ultimately just it was hard to get that specific of a date that late after
Mhm.
Delaware.
Yeah,
Kind of pulled the rug on it, but we went with Tusculum, and so the non-1 games, we'll try to play the in-state teams that are close by, Wise, King, Tusculum, but I think the last year, the 30-win team, we had to play 3 non-ones. I
yeah,
think 2 is pretty on par for the league. I'd like to maybe just play 1, but um, it's a jigsaw puzzle putting that schedule together, and so we don't get to just
Mhm.
hand pick them.
Eh,
So, but that's kind of our philosophy, and I think the Davidson game at home is going to be a big one.
oh yeah,
I think people are excited about that, and so yeah, we're looking forward to getting going, man. It's going to be here soon, and you got to go on the road and win. If you want to win a championship, you got to be able to go on the road. So we're going to challenge them early and often in November, and see if we can, get tough and give ourselves a chance to go win on the road.
yeah. I was just gonna say that Davidson game, that'll probably be a sellout, to be honest,
I hope
or
so.
close to it probably, because they're an old SoCon rival. Them, App State, those games, people get fired up.
Elon,
Like the
Elon was in the league. I don't know
Elon
if
too.
ETSU and Elon were in the league at the same time, but
Yeah.
I think they probably were. I don't know.
Mhm. Just like I know, like the older crowd will be at those games. Maybe it won't matter as much to some of the younger people, but people will take their families to the games.
Yep.
And just I like we have a balanced schedule of a lot of good mid majors. I know in Forbes, when Forbes was going on, or was it Coach? we struggled to get mid majors to come to the school because tough environment. I remember that sort of like there was always a crunch to get the schedule put together. So
Always. Yeah, that
yeah,
was one of
yeah,
my main responsibilities. And I think coach had a reputation just of being around winning a lot. And I think people knew what was about to happen. And then we went and hung 24 in the first year. And, it
yeah,
was trouble getting people to sign up for that one. But that's why I think you saw, like, we played Fordham.
yeah,
We played, North Dakota State. It's just,
hmm
it's hard because regionally, people, that's why we had to go out of region a little bit. We played, we had Detroit. So that's kind of the reason for that. But
hmm
it's something that we work on every day. And a lot of the other people are just so slow moving with it. A lot of the other
yeah,
coaches um, but it is sometimes you can't go faster than the process. So
yeah, yeah. It'd be nice to see a Power Five team at Freedom Hall again someday. I know
yeah,
Rick
I'd love to
Barnes
try
said
to
he
do
won't be
it.
back. Yeah,
Yeah, I'd love to
but
try to do it. We'll see.
yeah,
It's so the changing landscape now, Jacob, so tough
yeah,
because the conferences are getting bigger. They're playing more conference games, which cuts down the number of non-conference
mhm,
games. And then even the like at Wake Forest, I'll give you an example. We played 20 league games. All right. And then you have your ACC Big Ten Challenge.
mhm,
So you have 11 non-conference. Now it's 10. You have an MTE that's probably 2 or 3 games. So now you're down to 8. Um, and so there's already some other games already
mhm,
scheduled. Um, and that's going to shrink even more. Like I
mhm,
talked to Clemson, and they're like, we only have 4 spots. So it's like, well,
mhm.
I want to be one of those 4, and so um, it's not advantageous for them to go on the road. People are trying to manipulate the net,
Yeah,
trying to get home games. Um, so walking into a good mid major is not something that's really advantageous for them.
yeah,
And then it happens from time to time, and we'll try to get one.
yeah, yeah,
A lot of times that comes at like a 2-for-1 or a 3-for-1 or something. So
mhm.
you know it's a
Yeah.
spider
It's
web.
difficult. It's difficult. I understand that. It just being a fun experience to have that again. You
Yeah,
know,
I'd love to try and get somebody.
because I know they've had in the past they've had Michigan State. I think they had Michigan. No, maybe not. But they had NC State back in the day
Yeah,
here in the mini dome and had
like
Tennessee, of course.
we could potentially like Oregon State's a little bit in flux with the
Yeah.
league and stuff, and
hmm
so there was we had discussions about a 2-for-1 with Oregon State, but it's
Yeah.
like that's a bear of a travel to get out
Yeah.
there, and then it's like, is Oregon State really that attractive of a high major home game? I
hmm
don't know if our fans really get
Yeah.
excited
Not
about
really.
that, so it's just got to make sense. You don't want to wear your team out with the travel. Um, so is a lot of moving
hmm
parts.
Yeah. It really. I understand that, and just like you said, the conferences are getting bigger. The Big Ten is going to have 16 teams, I think now. I, as a Purdue fan, like I know they expanded the conference schedule to like 20 games, I think now,
Yeah, so there you go.
something like that. And there's more on the way. They're building the super conferences basically, but uh, like it's so hard to put together a schedule. Because you have, like you said, the limited number of games.
Yeah, they have to agree to it too.
Yeah, I know. I know Purdue played at Ohio a couple years back. I don't know how that happened, like because Ohio's a pretty good mid major. I think we
Hmm.
might have lost, but it's what although I understand it's a crazy process. So, but um, I just wanted to end or sort of get into the closing stages of our discussion. Just wanted to ask, have sort of a closer, not talk as much about basketball, but Um, what is your favorite? Like, what are some of your favorite aspects of the Tri Cities, like this area, this region, and what's so
Yeah,
attractive
so
about this region?
yeah, so when I was in college, a lot of my friends that I went to Tennessee, I didn't know anybody going there, and so a lot of my friends that I made were guys that were from Kingsport. Actually, they were from Tri Cities, a lot of Dobbins Bennett guys, and
Hmm.
so I'd come to Fun Fest. I've been to, they always talked about ETSU, and we
Yeah,
played ETSU, and Timmy was here when I was at Tennessee, and so I had known about the Tri City. And I knew the one thing that I knew before coaching here was just one, the tradition, but two, just what a great community it
yeah,
is. And it's a great place to raise your family. I got, two
hmm
little girls, and me and my wife love it here. And there's great schools, and it's really convenient. It's the perfect size for me. It's not too big, it's not too small. I've lived in both. This is this is just right for us, and really convenient to get around. Great places to eat, and it's
yeah.
growing. I mean,
I
it's
love it.
growing. You look at campus. Campus continues to get better and better. The enrollment's going up. The highest freshman class, so things are only looking up. And downtown, they're connecting campus and downtown, and there's just a lot of growth. Um, and there's just a lot of good people. Uh,
Yeah,
and so we love living here. We lived over by like Cheddar's and stuff the last time we lived here. Just there's so many good places to eat, and we don't eat out quite as much as we
yeah,
did when
yeah.
it was just us with the kids. We were a little more at home, but yeah, it's great. We're not in the shadow of anybody else. This is ETSU country. You see the ETSU, you see blue and gold all over the town. ETSU
Hmm.
pride, signs in the yards and on businesses, and it's got that Friday night lights feel to it,
Yeah, yeah.
which is great. And for me, this couldn't be better.
And that's what I said. Like downtown has grown exponentially, like the last 10 years or so. Uh, from when I was little, nobody went downtown, but now there's a booming restaurant scene,
Yeah,
and just like uh, everything's growing up around here, and
it
it's
is.
it's not too much of a big city. You don't have insane traffic, too much encroachment on each other, on top of each other. It's not too remote, It's sort of that perfect in between, like you
Yep,
said. Like,
yep.
and
Good
that's why
air,
I
good
enjoy.
size airport.
Mhm.
I went to my first Bristol race
Yeah,
a few weeks back. That was awesome, and yeah, it's just a good down home type of place, man.
yeah. I've enjoyed growing up here. It's beautiful. I enjoy the mountains. I could if I could stay here my whole life, I would. It's a
Yeah,
good place to live.
it is. There's something for everybody. If you're a little bit of a foodie, we got great places to eat. If you like the outdoors, we got that.
Mhm.
Maybe as good as anybody in the country. If you like to travel, there's the airport can get you places. You can get to the beach. You're in the
Mhm.
mountains. You want to go to Asheville. It's just you want to go to Nashville.
Mhm.
You want to watch big time football. Go north or south. Like, um, if that's your thing. If you like, I don't know, whatever. There's something for everybody. And there's something for everybody on campus. And great, a lot of different majors and very welcoming place.
Mhm.
And the thing that's cool too is like this is ETSU and they support obviously basketball, but all the sports. I mean, golf kicks butt and
Yes.
women's basketball. Brenda's got that thing rolling, and it's just there's tennis and everybody all the way around. So it's it's a great place to work. We
Mhm.
got great coaches in all the other sports and the administration is just everybody's aligned and everybody loves ETSU. We cheer for each other. So I don't know much more to ask for.
Yeah. I mean, you pretty much explained it all. Like That's why I love ETSU. It's just a beautiful, it has that perfect mix of everything, and that's why
Yeah.
I chose to go to school there. It's That's what I've known since I was a little kid, and I'm just so thankful for it. I'm sure you are too, because you've sort of
Yeah,
seen your life grow up around it.
for sure. It's a life-changing place.
Yeah.
People care. People care here, so
Hmm.
it's cool.
Hmm. Um, just I think we're getting to the ending stages, but before we end the show, I just wanted one more thing. I was going to do a trivia question.
What do you got?
Um, I was the trivia question today. It's kind of related to you. I was going to ask, do you know the last time ETSU beat the Tennessee Volunteers since you graduated from Tennessee and started your coaching career there? I was just going to say, do you know the year?
That ETSU beat Tennessee in
Yeah,
basketball?
yeah, basketball.
Ooh, uh, man, I don't know. Maybe in one of those early '90s teams, did they get them? That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, uh, it was 1991
Yeah,
was the last time. I was gonna have an ABCD tonight, but I just said you pretty much got it on the money.
I'd have done a lot better with the
Yeah,
multiple
yeah,
choice.
yeah. I mean, I would have too. I just ran out of time before the podcast, so uh, I just kind of wrote it down. I had to look it up real quick because I've been nonstop busy today. But um, I just wanted to let's get into the closing remarks here. I just wanted to thank you for coming on the podcast. Is there anything special you wanted to say before we get to the end?
No, we just, we love it here, man. Our players are
Mm-hmm.
fired up to get started and get the season going. And,
Mm-hmm.
get your season tickets. It's going to be a blast. We're going to get this
Mm-hmm.
thing back rocking. And I think this team is one that our fan base will enjoy watching and will be proud to call their own. And so we're working hard every day to get to make it happen. And I'm confident we will.
Mm-hmm. Uh, that's basically what I was going to say. I'm just appreciative of you for coming on the podcast and thankful that you're our coach. I hope the season goes well, and I just thank everyone for watching tonight. Um, give us follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, YouTube, whichever you're listening to this on or following it on. Um, I thank you once again, uh, Coach Savage, for coming on, and uh, Godspeed and go Bucks, and
That's right.
good night.
Thanks, buddy. Keep up the great work.
Yep, thank you.
See you.
Appreciate it.